Day 10 of 75 hard. I ran 75 miles this past weekend. Yeah. For day 10, I did an ultra marathon. It was the only marathon that was available for Massachusetts to fit on the 50 States Marathon Challenge schedule. And so for the 25th marathon of the year, I decided to be a fun thing to run my first ever, official ultra marathon. So crazy experience because I had no idea what I was doing. I flew out there to Boston with a buddy of mine who had never run an official marathon. He had done 3 marathons in his life, and they had all been unofficial. He was a big runner back in high school, and so he had the base built, but both of us were going into this kind of like unsure of what it was going to look like. And so we get there, I rent the car, we drive into Boston, we walk over to the place we were staying at, which was his buddy's frat house that was an MIT frat house, which is crazy. And on the way over, as we're walking, we bump into this girl that was just on a run, middle of Boston. I had my regular attire on, right? My travel attire. And she's like, "What marathon's this weekend?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" She's like, "What race are you racing this weekend? Like, which marathon?" I was like, "What? How do you know about that?" Some middle of nowhere of Boston. This girl recognizes me from my videos. It was one of the coolest things ever to have this happen right there in front of my buddy. Because I've known him for such a long time. For that to happen, it was just absurd. To be recognized on the street for having 7,000 followers on Instagram, like nothing crazy. I just thought that was incredible. So I was like, wow, these videos are actually reaching people, tangible, real human beings are seeing the videos that I'm putting out. So anyways, that was crazy. And so that was a good start to the weekend. We went to the frat house, then left that before the evening to drive over to the Airbnb that was close by the race. And it was a very late night. I got my daily mile in at this lake in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, which is so cool to have these little serendipitous moments, or whatever they're called, where like I had no idea what Otis Reservoir Lake, what the significance of that would be in my life. The fact that I was able to see a portion of it for my 7-minute, 8-minute, probably 9-minute run. I saw a little gas station, all these little, this very quaint lake city. Such a cool thing, at midnight, 11 p.m., the night before this ultramarathon. So there's beauty everywhere in the world. But anyways, I go to bed, we wake up that morning and still have no idea what we're doing, drive up to this ultramarathon, and we see all these people that have like tents set up, and we look for a tree by the start line with our 10, food items, 3 bags each or whatever it is from Walmart. And we set our bags down in our backpacks, and we're just underneath this tree, and that's our tent. Everyone's got tents set up, they're professional, and we're just there raw dogging it basically, running 75 miles, or it was a 24-hour ultramarathon, so the distance was unknown, but with our Walmart bags of food. So anyways, we get to the start line. It's we get there 30 minutes beforehand, and time flies, and it's 12 o'clock, and we're at the start line. It's holy cow, we don't even know what to think. It's a 1.9 mile loop around this track in the woods. And so every single time you would run, you would count that lap, and that would be a portion of the race, right? So then how many laps can you get to in a day? That's the result of the race. So anyways, we get started, and the first lap is 20-minute lap, 2 miles. It was let's just take it slow. Maybe it was 18 minutes, whatever it was. It was just we had no idea how to pace ourselves for this thing. So interesting going into a 24-hour challenge with very little preparation, because there's no anxiety, there's no, ill will, or whatever the word is I'm looking for. It's just pure excitement of what's going to happen. There's no necessity here. There's high expectations. I wanted to get 100 miles so bad, but there's no need to do more than a marathon. So it's really a test of, mental strength pushing through what the unfamiliar, situation of a 24-hour ultra marathon. That's what it was. And so those first like 20 miles kind of flew by. Every lap we'd stop, get some water, slowly, stay on our nutrition. Very warm day in Massachusetts. What? We ran a full marathon, and that was Brennan's fourth marathon that he'd ever run. And for me, it checked off the 25th state of the 50 States Marathon Challenge. Massachusetts, halfway done with this incredible, experience that I'm going through this year in 2024. And it was quite incredible. And so then around the time that night started coming in, around like 8 p.m., that's when I started like dialing in, right? I had been going for 8 hours, and I was on pace to do over 50 miles in the first 12 hours. And I was like, okay, at this rate, I could go to 100 easy, right? Bad mistake. So first off, this was really cool because at midnight, I got to 55 miles, and it was the fastest time I had ever done for my 50 miler. So that was really cool, because last time, I think it took me like 14 hours, and I did like a 9:30 pace, so like 4.5 hours, and then I took a 3-hour break, and then I went back out and did it again, or something like that. But this time it was like all at once. It was continuous running, 50 miles. So that was a cool personal record. And then on top of that, I hit 55 miles in 12 hours. So that was pretty cool. Now, around 1 in the morning, I was feeling good, but 2 in the morning hit, and I started slowing down. 3 in the morning hit, and that was brutal. I stopped for a lap and took a break. Brennan was 1 lap behind, so he was, catching up by 1 lap. And it was a terrible idea to stop. I should have just kept walking through the night. When you're in the position where you're just exhausted, your muscles are tired, you're really in deep in a challenge like that. You can't stop. You can't take a break to rest, because then your body starts to shut down. So, I took a lot of breaks. Every single lap, basically, I was taking a break. And I probably should have taken a break every third lap. But then for that break, it was like a 40-minute break, right? That was a bad mistake. And that led me to do like 1 more lap, and then I took like a hour-long nap. And this was right when I was at like 65 to 75 miles, right in that range. When I took that like hour-long nap, it was at 4 a.m. At 5 a.m., I was at like 72 miles. And so I ran 1 more lap, and I got back, and I was like, holy cow, like I'm exhausted. I'm just going to call it at 75. So I was on pace to go like 110 miles in 24 hours. I was feeling great, pacing really well up until midnight. And when I allowed myself to kind of start slowing down, that's when my body started catching up to me and saying like, hey, we should probably shut down, right? We can just call it at 75. I wanted 100 miles so bad. And so lots of lessons learned with that. It's like when the going gets tough, that's when you have to push through. That's the real difficulty, is getting through 70 to 80. Those last 20 miles tick by pretty quick. So I should have doubled down. I should have kept walking when I was at mile 70 and I wanted to take a nap. Any movement is better than stopping entirely. Don't delude yourself into thinking that taking a break is going to help you, rest up for the next 20 miles. It's still going to hurt. You're going to be exhausting either way. So when you run an ultra marathon, or when you do a difficult challenge, whatever that is, it's like, I'll take a day off from my gym routine. I won't read for a day. I won't, whatever it is. Whenever you take a break, that's the difficult spot. It's like when you feel like you need to take a break, you got to push through. You got to double down. Maybe do it twice in one day, whatever you're supposed to be doing. So lots of things to be learned there. But yeah, I'm excited that I got 75 miles for my first ultra marathon. It was 19 hours of running. I probably was only running for, I think like Strava said I was doing like I don't know, 14 hours of running or something like that out of the 19, which probably seems right. But yeah, it's crazy, absolutely wild that I could run 75 miles just on a weekend, Walmart food, no tent, sleeping in the grass. Like, it's just, it's just wild, but it's like, that's what it is. You can do it too, People put up this massive barrier of like, holy cow, it's an ultra marathon. It's crazy. It's not really that difficult. It's just like, can you be outside for 20 hours? I think what would be really difficult is like a week-long challenge of running like 250 miles, self-supported with food in a backpack, or like, those types of challenges. Like, but even then, a week goes by and then you're back in your day-to-day life. Here we are like 8 days later, or 7 days later after this marathon, this ultra marathon, I should say. Because yeah, it's about midnight right now, and I was at mile 55 a week ago, right? And I'm fine. It's just wild that like in the moment, everything seems so difficult. It hurts. You feel like you're never going to recover, whatever it is. I didn't feel that way because I know this feeling. But then you push through, and then you realize like a week later, like, I don't even feel the pain anymore. This is just, it's absurd that a week ago I was running an ultra marathon, The same goes with any difficult time. It's like, all right, financially, I'm not doing great right now. In a month, in a year, I'll be looking back on this and be like, wow, it's absurd that a year ago I was not doing great financially because I found a way out. So learning how to delay the time, it's not a gratification delay, like delaying gratification. It's more so like understanding that it's just going to take time, that things are like, okay, if I set my day up to where I do these inputs every single day, for example, going to the gym and lifting for 45 minutes, hour and a half every day, running a mile every day, ones that I don't do yet, reading a book, making a piece of content, whatever it is that I'm doing on a consistent basis, it'll start to compound on itself over time. And as long as I just build that into my daily schedule, it forces me to show up in these categories that are important to me. And then I know that over time, I will accomplish the results that I want in this life. If I'm doing something that, has the potential of making money, for example, going out and knocking doors to sell jobs for window cleaning and pressure washing, then it's only a certain number of knocking days of selling contracts that I fulfill until I'm able to hire someone and then go out and sell so that they can clean for me. Hire 2 people, have 2 machines, get my first truck, replicate that twice, to a second one. Like, the work compounds on itself. If you just show up every single day, you will achieve the results you're looking for. And it's not as crazy as you think. You would think that 75 miles is not something that your average Joe could do. I would say that Brennan is not your average Joe, but he's definitely not in the same running condition as me, because I've been running a marathon every single weekend of 2024. It would make sense that I could run 75 miles in 19 hours. But for Brennan to do it, that's crazy. So don't get caught up with the, all the excuses. Oh, but I just get started. Whatever. It's like, you're a human being. If someone else has done it, you can't do. So stop complaining. That's it. Why not us?